Magnus Carlsen on Gukesh. Unrealistic expectations placed on him. In part, he brought it upon himself. Magnus Carlsen lavished praise on the current world champion before adding Gukesh could become one of the best of all time, but more likely he'll end up being an elite player who had the best run of his life and became a champion. That in itself is already great. Now, here's what's funny about this article, you guys. When I get into this article, it's funny because this article is published by the Indian Express, but I literally heard Magnus say this word for word to a journalist at the ICE conference in Barcelona where Levy and I were there. So I'm a little bit confused why this is on an Indian Express article and not on the Spanish publication where Magnus said that. I mean, maybe he literally said verbatim the exact same words, but I remember in Spain when there was a Spanish journalist asking us questions, Magnus effectively said this. So I'm surprised to see it on an Indian publication. But anyway, I mean, they might have just taken it from there. Who knows? But let's keep going. It's been a rough 2025 for world champion Gukesh Domoraju, who did not win a title in the 12 months since becoming the youngest world champion in history. The closest he came in 2025 was in his first tournament as the world champion at the Tata Steel Chess in Vaikonze, where he almost won the tournament before defeat in the tiebreaks to compatriot Praggnanandh Ha. His run of below par results by his own high standards have continued in 2026 as he made an unbelievable blunder against Norbek Abdusattorov in round 6, then lost to Anish Giri in the next round, and had previously let World Cup winner Javokir Sindarov escape with a draw from a dead loss position in the first round. Former world champion Magnus Carlsen believes the now 19-year-old teenager has had unrealistic expectations placed upon his young shoulders. Oh, so actually, I'm not crazy. Literally right here, it literally says it. So they actually they created an article from an article that Magnus did with El Mundo in Barcelona. Is that actually correct, you guys? Is that maybe I'm an unk here, but to me, taking stuff from another article and creating an article out of it really summarizes everything that's wrong with the world. Like literally trying to get clicks by taking an interview Magnus gave somewhere else and then kind of appropriating it into your own article. Like I kind of don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy or I'm just an unk. But like to me, when I was a kid, I don't feel like this was what journalism was. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you know, not trying to cause drama, but like, isn't there a saying you do your own research, do your own work, don't just like take something from another article? Oh, they do most of their articles by reference. So okay, so yeah. I mean, okay. I don't know what to say then. That's journalism, eh? When asked in an interview by Spain's El Mundo if Gukesh's world championship title was becoming a burden and had led to his recent results on the board, Carlsen said the expectations placed on him were unrealistic. In part, he brought it upon himself by playing in such strong tournaments, but he played incredibly in the Canada's tournament and delivered one of the best performances in history at the Olympiad, leading India to gold. His world championship match against Ding Liren was more uneven, but even so, it's difficult to dispute his results. Let's remember that he's still young, and until recently, nothing suggested he'd be so consistently good. I think he's reached a period of stability and is learning. In certain aspects, he's become stronger, but it's not easy to demonstrate that in every game. Defending his title in every tournament isn't easy, but he'll do well. His trajectory is good. Another thing is that we have to be realistic about his generation because my career or Hikaru Nakamura's doesn't come around very often. Gukesh could become one of the best of all time, but more likely he'll end up being an elite player who had the best run of his life and became a champion. That in itself is great. Now, first things first, I do find it odd that Magnus, it's all relative, but when I compare generations, I do find it a little bit odd the way that Magnus says, like myself, Fabi, and him, this generation, like, yes, by general standards of playing chess at the highest level, quote unquote, by quality of play, ratings, and everything, we are amazing. But I do feel that every single generation is going to continue improving in chess. So like we can talk about my generation with myself, Magnus, Fabi, everything else. But to me, I feel like the next generation is probably going to surpass us. They're going to be better players than all of us. So I do find it a little bit amusing the way Magnus says this, because I feel like with every generation, they just keep surpassing the previous one. So I'm not so sure that I buy the point that Magnus is saying here, acting like this generation is super amazing. Because I do expect the kids who start to take over the game over the next 5 to 10 years are going to be better than all of us. I do believe that, because that's naturally what should happen. Like, that's what should happen. Like, every generation in chess should continue becoming better than the previous generation. So That's the I'm kind of a little bit skeptical about this. That being said, as far as Gukesh goes, I mean, I think the pressure and the expectations being placed upon him are due to the fact that Gukesh is from India and they are rabidly crazy about chess. They love chess more than any other country in the world, and so I think they definitely expect their players to be the best. And I think a large part of it is related to that. I'm not sure that I understand the Gukesh brought this on upon himself by playing top tournaments bit, because like, what is Gukesh supposed to play exactly? I mean, you're going to play like Grand Chess Tour type events that have top 10 players. So I don't really get the point about Gukesh bringing it on himself. I don't know if there's anything more going on, but let's see. It says the interview was conducted earlier in the week, much before Gukesh's one-move blunder against Noterbeck at the Tata Steel Chess Tournament. In his press conference in Barcelona during ICE, Carlsen admitted that he had almost agreed to play in the Viscount event. Carlsen was in Barcelona as part of the International Casinos and Entertainment Expo ICE Barcelona 2026. He played a blindfold exhibition game with Nakamura. So, true, but no way they would have better run than Magnus. No. I'm not saying they're going to be better than Magnus. I'm saying as a collective whole. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong though. You know where I think I might be wrong is Magnus might be right in the standpoint. Magnus might be right from the standpoint that that ratings are coming down. Like, if you think about the highest ratings from the past, just generally speaking, Magnus's peak was 2880. Like, Fabio's peak was 2850. Mine was like 2820. I'm not so sure that rating wise it's going to be reflected, because I don't like, this is maybe my one hot take. I don't know if I believe that we live in a world where there are ever going to be many players above 2800 again. I actually think that chess is becoming much more balanced. I don't think it's easy to really like get to that rating anymore. So I think ratings aren't gonna reflect it, but I think the quality of play is going to be much higher across the board. That's what I would say. So from a general standpoint, if you're just a casual fan and you just look at ratings as a metric, you're probably going to actually agree with Max and be like, well, nobody's getting 2800. Like, it's like those guys were much better, but I'm not sure that I believe that. So, okay, what else do we have? In a response to another question about the differences between his generation and the current crop of prodigies, Carlsen also highlighted Gukesh. Children progress much faster now thanks to the internet, but I would say that one of its disadvantages is that they become very dependent on computer programs, error criteria. Gukesh, the current world champion, is very good in part because his coach wouldn't let him use these programs until he was a very strong player. Many children become obsessed with computer engines, and this impairs critical thinking. Some of the younger grandmasters even lack some critical thinking skills, some logic. Okay, so yeah, I mean, nothing crazy about this article overall. I mean, they took this from, of course, Magnus' interview with El Mundo. I literally was right there in the room when Magnus answered this question. I think that generally speaking, for Gukesh, I think anybody who acts like he's reached his peak or it's all over for him, I think they're not being honest with themselves, is what I would say. And I think I saw someone said something earlier in chat, I feel like 20 minutes ago, about Gukesh and something like Nepo. I don't know what Nepo said specifically, but I'm going to assume it wasn't a positive thing if you were to ask me. So I think when it comes to these kids, like, they're going to play chess. Who knows if they're at their peak or they're not at their peak, but let them play, let them see where they go. And you know, the future, I think, is very, very bright. That's what I would say. So anyway, decent article. Gukesh is 19 years old. If Gukesh has peaked, well, like, I'd be shocked. Let's put it that way.